when you're in these periods of trauma,
Mm.
it seems to be that Autumn's programs, you called them your saving grace
Yeah.
in all of life's challenging moments. So I wanted you to get a chance to meet somebody who's been so important to you. Meet Autumn Calabrese.
Hi. First of all, you got me crying over here. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
You are incredible.
Thank you.
Really.
That's incredible.
I just wanted to come on and really just honor you
Thanks, Autumn.
for never giving up.
We grieve people when they pass on, and we don't always make great choices. And that's not what they would want for us. They would want us to be the best version of ourselves, choose ourselves, be healthy, keep living, right?
They always say we'll never be given more than we can handle. And I've got to say, you must be one of the strongest women ever because you have been given a lot to handle and you're doing it. So
Hi, it's Carl Deichler, and joining me today on the BODi Experience is Renee. Renee, you got to help me with your last name. I thought I had it.
Buczel.
Boxel. Okay. Look, this is a really important episode because, we talk about the BODi Experience and incredible results that people can get. And you are certainly an example of that, having lost 35 pounds in 5 months with sort of a first foray into the BODi Experience. And then things fell off a little bit. Then you gained some weight back. Then you lost 11 pounds in a month. And we'll get into that. But what's, I think, compelling about your story is not just the fact that you embraced these healthy habits, stayed consistent with your fitness and nutrition, but you actually did it to navigate trauma in your life. So that's really where I want to start. Obviously, I don't want to tell your story for you. So take us back. If there's sort of three chapters to it, if I recall, and the first one is a wild one back in August 2020. Tell us what happened.
Correct. So if we're going back to August 2020, we're talking pandemic. So we're in this global pandemic, and I'm a mom with young children. So I'm navigating, being home and online learning and all of these things that come with that. And so I was experiencing burnout and fatigue. And, I was thinking that was related to being a mom because a lot of us moms experience that. And we are getting into August of 2020, and I go to camp with my family. And while I'm there, I'm still tired and not feeling well and just really, really burnt out. I wake up in the middle of the night, sweating, chest pains, kind of all of these feelings. And I realize that I'm having a heart attack. So 3 weeks before my 37th birthday, I suffered a heart attack that ended me up in the hospital getting one stent placed into my heart. So that's kind of where it starts in August of 2020.
That's so young for this kind of thing. Was this a congenital,
Um,
genetic type of thing or
so
what?
I do my dad unfortunately passed away from a heart attack in 2008. He had a massive heart attack and he lost his life at 55. So there was the genetic aspect to it. I had some pregnancies that had preeclampsia, so I had elevated blood pressure during pregnancy. And so I think it was just a combination of lifestyle at the time. I was a smoker, I was unhealthy, I was eating kind of garbage, especially during the pandemic. And then the heart history in my family. So it was just kind of a combination of everything. So that leads to a heart attack 3 weeks before turning 37.
So, obviously, that's a big setback, and you don't want to have that happen again.
No.
So, what did that have to do with BODi?
So I started the cardiac rehab program. So it's something that people who have had a heart attack go through. And that kind of involves, nutrition and the gym and seeing a therapist and kind of getting everything back in line in your life after a major cardiac event. And again, the gyms were open briefly during COVID and they shut back down. And so at that point, I had built up some really good routines. and I didn't want to stop. I had gained momentum. I was, making progress. And like most people on social media, I kind of came across BODi and I was like, okay, so this gives me an option to continue to work out at home while everything's shut down.
And what program did you pick post heart attack and during COVID that made you feel like you were in good hands and wanted to get started?
So I started my first program was 9 week control freak. And I had, kind of seen the hype of it getting released and it was coming out and it was this, big new program. So I was like, okay, I'm jumping on board with 9 week control freak. And it was COVID and everything was kind of shut down and we moms were trapped at home with our children. So I convinced some of my girlfriends to hop on board and do this with me, right? We're home. Why don't we keep each other motivated and going and, try this 9 week program together? So I signed up. I got a few of my girlfriends to sign up and we committed to doing 9 week control freak together.
And that's not a light program. Your doctor supported this post
Yeah.
heart attack, all that stuff. You
Yeah,
were good
so
to
I had
go.
done the cardiac rehab program and I got such a great relationship with my trainer from that program because, he said, you kind of inspired me. Most of the people that I was, going through the cardiac rehab program at the time were, you know, late 50s, 60s, 70s. So they were at the point where they couldn't, you know, basic movements were hard for them. But I was so motivated and I was taking it so serious and I was, building up momentum that they were confident that I could, take this program and just be mindful of my body, right? Listen to how I felt and if I needed to modify or like go easier on the weights, just kind of build up to what would work with where I was at in my journey at that time.
And what did you choose to follow for nutrition?
I started with portion fix and I deep dive before I started the 9 week control freak. I watched every single video about the containers and how the system works. And I had those lists down pat or, what goes in what container, but it really made it simple to like follow nutrition with everything. Just I wasn't weighing or measuring or counting. It was like, okay, I get 4 servings of vegetables, my protein. Everything was so easy with portion fix. It truly made nutrition like the easiest it's ever been in my life.
So from January 2021 till June 2021, sort of the end of COVID, you lost 35 pounds.
35 pounds. Actually, I'd lost 35 pounds. So I did 9 week control freak. And then I was part of the test group for 645. And by the time the end of the test group started and we were getting ready to go into like 645 being a program on the platform, I was like over 35 pounds loss.
Amazing. And, you know, life is going along, things are fine, you're past that traumatic event.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, October 2023, um, the universe says we got other plans.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one. Why don't you walk us through the
Yeah.
the next chapter?
Chapter in that story. So I like almost 3 solid years of being consistent on the platform. I worked through so many different programs that were so powerful in my life, lip borsure thing. There were so many like it felt like as soon as I finished, there was just something else I was so excited and like couldn't wait to try. And so, I'd gone through almost 2.5, 3 years of being super consistent. And I mean, nutrition didn't falter. I'd mastered portion fix. I was a pro at it. And I had actually just decided to go back to 645 for the third time. And I was on about my third week in, and I got up at like my usual 5 a.m. club. I'm a 5 a.m.er. And while I was doing my workout, my phone rang. And I was like, who's calling me at 5:30 in the morning? And it was a phone call that I don't think probably many people will ever expect to get. But my best friend and my maid of honor um, had been murdered the night before. She was murdered in mass murder suicide in my hometown where I live up here in Canada. And yeah, I couldn't even believe the words that I was hearing or processing on the phone, right? That this had happened and she was gone. And it just rocked my world. I was in such a state of disbelief that I couldn't believe what I had just heard on the phone was true, right? Like, she was murdered in her own home and in a mass murder suicide. So it was, like, not just her, there was multiple people involved, and it was just an all-around tragic situation that really will rock somebody's world.
And it did rock your world. Like, what happened to the healthy habits you'd built over the prior 2 or 3 years?
It was a struggle. They kind of all went away. I tried, you know, the first week I didn't try at all. The first week was just really kind of sort of like in this numb, kind of putting all the pieces together of what had just happened. And I wasn't sleeping, or I was sleeping all day, or I was just in such a, alternate universe, almost felt like that everything that I had built for so long and was so sustainable through so many parts of my life had just kind of completely come undone. Like, there was no wellness in my mind at that moment. It was just simply surviving, crying, struggling through grief in all the worst kind of ways with, there were so many layers to it because it wasn't like, I mean, it's so sad when we lose somebody. It's hard. I've lost my dad. I talked about that a little bit earlier. And like, you experience these losses that like rip your world apart, but then you take into account the way in which she was just robbed from this world, like at such a young age. With She was a mom with two young children. It was just so hard to process any of that.
Um, but you did, and that's, I think, what people need to hear is, rather than, make a tragedy worse, you found a way back.
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
So when I talked about doing 9-week control freak and recruiting some of my friends to do it with me, she was one of my friends. She was like my rock star cheerleader. You got this, girl. And as I transformed, she was like, it's so powerful to watch you, because she said, you're transforming, but you're doing it with such like light, and you want to share it with the world, and you're so positive and so encouraging, and you just need to keep going, and you just keep at it, because like you're making a difference. You're making a difference for yourself and your family. And so I finally said to myself one day, like, I'm, we grieve people when they pass on, and we don't always make great choices, and that's not what they would want for us. They would want us to like be the best version of ourselves, choose ourselves, be healthy, keep living, right? Because somebody has stopped living, sometimes we stop living. We want to curl up and go in a ball inside of ourselves and just shut down from the world, but that's not what we should do, or it's not what they would want us to do. So it was like she said to me, "Get back on track. Like, you need to take care of yourself. One, you're a woman living with heart disease, and you've already had a major cardiac event. So, not taking care of yourself isn't benefiting your family and your children and everybody that needs you to take care of yourself." So it was like, I was it. I was getting back on track.
And what did you pick?
4 weeks for everybody with gut protocol, because I will tell you, when you're in a season of grief and you're eating the potato chips and all the junk food and the pizza and everything at night, your stomach and your guts and everything kind of gets a little bit out of whack. So back to my girl Autumn with the gut protocol to kind of, kickstart myself back onto a journey. And 4 weeks for everybody went along with that. And it was kind of maybe a slow down pace program where it was, less impact and, following a new nutrition, but kind of with the same container and the same system. So that was it. It was 4 weeks for everybody with gut protocol.
So you're back in the sweet spot. You're starting in March 2024,
Yeah.
and life says, "Oh no, not yet."
Nope.
And what happens last December?
So, I did 4 weeks for everybody, then I did the super block for that, and then, I was feeling autumn because we had just gone through these 2, 4 weeks for everybody and then the 4 weeks for everybody super block. So why not go back to what I know and I love, 9-week control freak? It kind of started it all, and it still kind of kept my friend Auntie that was murdered in the forefront of my mind because we had done that program together. So I was gonna keep going with that. So I did 2 rounds of 9 weeks, and then I was doing lift 4, and I was on week 8, the final week of it, December 30th, this past New Year's, and my day started out like any other day. I woke up at 5 o'clock. I was doing my workout. My husband was getting ready to leave for work. He said, "Goodbye, I love you, I'm proud of you, great job." And he left for work. And 2.5 hours later, I got a phone call that my husband had been hurt at work. And I needed to meet the ambulance at the hospital. So that was December 30th, 2024.
And this time, how have you navigated a life-threatening accident in your family? Again, out of your control, has to disrupt everything about the family. Um, did it all fall apart again? I mean, here we are, we're a couple months later. What's
Yeah.
it been like?
So this one was, they're all challenging, but this one was challenging because, you know, we have young children. We have a 8-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter, and they were with me when I got the phone call. And it was a pretty traumatic phone call. And so, it affected my whole family. My husband's parents, they're snowbirds. If we live in Canada, people go to Florida for the winter. They decided they weren't going to go this year. That's where they live in the winter, but they were going to brave a Canadian winter to stay back and support my family and support me and my husband and the children. And so, yeah, he was in the hospital for 7 days, and I didn't leave the hospital. So for 7 days, I slept in a reclining chair right beside him. Some days I managed to get some breakfast into me and then grab maybe a slice of pizza in the cafeteria at the hospital. But it definitely just kind of threw my whole routine. I was like going into week 8 of Lift 4. So I had 3 workouts left and I was going to finish another program. And I just kind of fell apart because, you know, in all of the tragedies that I've experienced up to this point, or the trauma in my life, when you have a partner, when you're going through something, and if you can only bring, 40% that day, they usually bring that other 60 and they help you and they carry you. And he carried me through so many situations and that I've been through. And he was like a huge cheerleader for me. Like I said, that morning that he left for work, I had, had a PB in that workout that day. And he's like, "I'm so proud of you, babe. Good job." He was like a huge cheerleader and supporter of me throughout this journey. And now, like, that is gone because taking the kids to hockey and sports and meals and, the household and everything kind of now became my responsibility. And so it was a lot to kind of navigate.
Yeah. And you say in your notes, that when you're in these periods of trauma,
Mm.
it seems to be that Autumn's programs, you called them your saving grace,
Yeah,
in all of life's challenging moments. 9-week control freak, got protocol, 4 weeks for everybody. Have you ever met Autumn?
I haven't.
Now, it's interesting. You talk about somebody who's helping you, right? Like your husband supported you, but those trainers
Oh, yeah.
become friends
They
on
do.
TV.
Absolutely.
What would you say to Autumn if you ever met her? Like having she doesn't know that you've been through these traumas and that she was sort of a part of it with you.
Yeah.
What would you say to the trainer?
Oh, I would say thank you, because it's just like you said, they're strangers to you, but you get to have, like, you form a connection with them, even though they don't know that they're inspiring or helping you navigate these kind of times in your life where you might feel alone or like you're struggling, and then you just press play and, yeah, you form a connection with somebody who's a stranger to you.
Yeah. Well, we're always grateful when we can help you and when you help us tell the story. So I wanted you to get a chance to meet somebody who's been so important to you. Meet Autumn Calabrese.
Hi. First of all, you got me crying over here. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
You are incredible.
Thank you.
Really.
You're incredible.
I wanted, Carl shared your story with me yesterday,
Ooh,
and that's a lot. That is a lot. And I just wanted to come on and really just honor you
thanks, Autumn.
for never giving up. Um and understanding, like, you've had some big realizations and understanding that it is important to still take care of yourself, and it's okay to give yourself a little space and grace and not beat yourself up when life knocks you down, but that you still got back up. They always say we'll never be given more than we can handle. And I've got to say, you must be one of the strongest women ever
Thanks,
because you have been given a lot to handle and you're doing it. So,
you. I'm doing it with your help. And you know what's funny is a motto that I live by. And so since my husband's accident in December, it's been a challenge. I didn't expect to ring in 2025 and the hospital here, right? But as I've navigated this last month and as I'm, gearing up to get back on track, I keep saying to myself, right, is if you fail to plan, plan to fail. And it is something that I have lived by for years because it's like life is busy. It's busy for all, especially moms, with so much on our plate. But like you taught me that, right? Like I can navigate these busy seasons of my life by planning. And if I fail to plan, then, plan to fail, right? So it's been such a powerful little thing that I've kept with me for years as I've, stayed consistent and used portion fix because it's easy for me and I've, really mastered that. But that was one of the first things I heard you say, and it's just been so important in my life.
Now, I think one of the things that's really exciting and having you both on here is, um, we are very close to, depending on when people see this podcast, we're very close to the launch of BelVital into Canada,
Yeah.
and my understanding is that you are, ready to go, you're excited about it, and I wanna hear what you're excited about, and what about the program, sounds like it's gonna be appealing to you?
So I've been following BelVital like months and months and months, right? And so, I think what's funny is I feel like, again, with the relationship with Autumn, like she turned 40 during 9 week control Eureka filming of that. And so like I turned 40 and, now I'm getting up to 42 and I've kind of like followed her journey as we've become, women in our 40s and how our hormones change and our health changes and like we might have been able to bounce back really fast before or rebound quickly but I love that Vital takes the best of hormone health and breath work and with all of these traumas and these tragedies and everything that I've been through finding space and breath work and slower kind of post 40 workouts. I think Belvital really captured that, right? So I'm really excited for this next chapter with kind of where I am in my life at 42 and figuring that out with this journey.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you in there, and we hope you don't do it alone. I presume you're gonna be in the group with Autumn.
we got to put her in a group one way or the other. We got to have you in a group, but listen, I'm excited for you to go through it. I'm excited for you to experience just how good we can feel in our 40s. You have been through a lot of trauma and we store that in our bodies without even recognizing it. So I think it's going to be an incredible program. You obviously know the containers, but it's a different way of using the containers. So you get to learn a whole new way. I think you're going to find a lot of fun in the workouts between the Pilates, but also getting in some strength training. So having that balance of a little bit more challenging intensity and then dialed back a little bit, but still a different kind of challenge with the Pilates and absolutely embracing the breath work. It's amazing how in 60 seconds you can take yourself from such a heightened state to a calm state. And, how is your husband doing? May I ask?
My husband is doing good. He's still like, I mean, when you have a traumatic brain injury, it's kind of hard to tell what the brain's going to do. So he has some cognitive memory issues but I mean for the most part he's in good spirit. He's here with our kids and our family. So it's just really slowed kind of like our life down. But he is still like my number one cheerleader and my biggest fan. And like this morning was like, good job, babe. I'm so proud of you. So yeah, he's doing good. The kids are resilient because children are resilient. And yeah, we're navigating these times, but with a positive outlook.
It's amazing. Yeah, you're resilient too. So, just take it one day at a time and keep doing it because really I'm just going to say thank you for sharing your story. So many people have these situations that come up, these hard times that come up and can get so stuck in that side of it and forget that they have the power to pull themselves out of it or to move forward with it. And your story is really an inspirational one. So thank you for sharing it.
Thanks, Autumn.
Awesome. Thank you, Autumn. And Renee, truly, I can't say it better than Autumn did. It's the courage to share your side of the story. Everybody's going through something. Maybe not, or probably not as acute as what you've dealt with, but the fact that you've given hope to so many people, we're super grateful to have you on the Body Experience, and really look forward to seeing what kind of results you get by leaning into the Belvital program.
I
So
can't wait.
thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Autumn. It was amazing. It's so nice to finally meet you. I spent hundreds of hours with you, right? And like completed everything. So it's been amazing.
Well, here's to many more together.
I can't wait.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Well, that wraps up a great, little emotional episode of the Body Experience. I was lucky enough that they didn't have me on camera while I was wiping away the tears, but this stuff is real. Like, life is real for people. And I think, we sometimes think that, oh, it's all my problems. And everybody's got all my problems. And we work together to get through them. And by doubling down on taking care of ourselves, we get through them with more strength versus letting them take us down and make us weak. And it's people like Renee that have such an incredible power to inspire the rest of us, and obviously our super trainers like Autumn that put great programs together, make sure that it's complete and checks all the boxes so people get the results that you really expect. So if you've got a great Body Experience story, I hope you'll submit it to us. I think we accept stories that are submitted through the Instagram handle at BODi Stories. So we just want to hear how has your real life interacted with the Body Experience, with taking care of yourself, with a structured program and a nutrition plan that lets you still eat the foods you love and live life, but get results so that you're treating your body like the organic, biological thing that it is, that needs to be fed well to live well. And now obviously reducing stress and supplementing with the Belvital supplements or Shakeology or both, and feeding yourself in a way that supports a life experience that's truly the best it can be. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in on this Body Experience. Thanks, Renee. Thanks, Autumn. And we'll see you next time.